revenue. So first revenues to market were really important to us to show the differentiation between a vertically integrated company now and then transition to specialized companies, the ability to get these types of high revenue therapies. Our growth opportunities are pretty focused right now, where Australia is our first international foray into a new company that we're positioning to look after larger volumes of supply. So Australia is still in its infancy of its program. There's a low consumption base in terms of patients. And so we're expecting that to move quickly, but at the same time, those volumes that we're going to be able to extract from our partners there that are just. So this is kind of a summary of what we've just done recently. I'll mention it first, the only one that has these fully licensed position. We're operational today with our most recent approval with Health Canada at 150,000 kilos of capacity. Capacity of the actual extractors. Having numerous extraction lines in segregation gives the ability to comply to GMP standards. This capacity is large. We're positioned to take on larger players or our existing partners that are executing or potentially an outdoor product, outdoor cannabis or outdoor hemp. So we've got 5 lines for 150,000 in our existing perimeter. We're going to move that up to 7 by the time we're done mid Q2. That's already paid for and funded. And so that gives us the ability to literally look at segregating a line and only using that for one partner, let's say, for example. So the significant volumes that we've just discussed have been very key to how we're positioned. The only way you can procure supply in this industry is to have a large sales team and a large business development team and talk to a lot of people. And the fact of the matter is we've been able to negotiate relatively great deals to the market, and the margin that we can get between our wholesale product we can buy flower and bring anywhere between $2.50 to $4. The added margin, because of the volume we're buying, gives us a significant advantage in this position. As I mentioned before, this is the largest wholesale transaction in Canada, to Canopy and to our 2 other players that we haven't mentioned yet. We'll be coming out with that soon. We're buying for over 20 cultivation partners. All of our agreements right now are 3 years plus, with the option to add individual years. This is another key factor looking at taking advantage of the first mover status, that we have long-term supply. We're very clear that everyone's going to come after us and position us to say, we've done these huge revenues up front, now show me you can be sustainably positioned to show those volumes in terms of oil distribution. Our international growth strategy is Australia's priority, but we're looking also at a number of different European partners to have our we have an audit in early February, to have our EU GMP approval, and then to segment into our distribution to Germany. It's very key to work with players that have an established distribution plan. This we feel is more important in terms of priority versus other areas that are not federally regulated yet. So our management team, I've got 15 years pharmaceutical sales and marketing. I started with AstraZeneca for my first year and a half, launched a number of different base products. I moved over to Sanofi Aventis, where I led strategy, and I was the lead negotiator for our hospital portfolio nationally. And I was reported to Janssen, the pharmaceutical arm of J&J, where I was the most profitable employee at J&J Canada, moving the business at just over $100 million in profit margin increases per year. And the key position, as I mentioned before, is looking at the different revenue streams, maximizing on supply, positioning at an evolutionary industry, looking into a pharmaceutical lens. This is always also key in terms of how we lined up our management team, and just in terms of time, our highest priority person is our operations person. So David Van Baders is from Purdue Pharma, worked for 25 years, and he actually was able to show an increase from $1 billion production a year to sort of $5 billion. This is very key for us to understand and to accelerate our business model to move from a non-compliant GMP with numerous customers, with numerous segregated lines, into a compliant EU GMP perspective. The rest of these players complement the team with all majority pharmaceutical focus. The 2 key players that we have are our quality team. So our quality team is almost the same size as our production team. Another key element in reducing the risks of recall situations or potential where we would have any bacteria or potentially pesticides being moved through the facility. It's difficult to believe, but we've already been put in a situation to actually turn away a product because it's got pesticide that's over threshold, or pesticides that are 0-1 in terms of our quality team, but we can't take it. We position with Health Canada because of our unique license that with the quality agreement that we sign with our cultivators, that we have to keep it to a certain threshold, and in fact report to Health Canada if they in fact are trying to sell a pesticide-laden product. This is a pretty key issue in the industry, and it's something to watch. If we buy product with pesticide up to a certain level, and then put it through our extractors, it actually co-extracts. So you get to the point where you would actually pass the threshold, the allowable pesticide threshold. Immediately then we'd be in a recall situation, and from our perspective as trying to be a leader in the quality side, this would bankrupt the business. So our quality team is very important. We stole Dr. Chris Talbis, our head of quality, from Therapure, which is a contract manufacturer pharmaceutical operation. He now has 16 people underneath him. And the last piece of this, what I'm just going to comment on in terms of our leadership, Sarah comes from Apotex, and he was the director of packaging. One of the things that we found and we've identified, and some of our major partners, we're selling crude oil, and the crude oil is actually coming back to us to be finally formulated and then filled into a tincture bottle, a gel cap, or a soft gel capsule or a capsule. This is really key. We call this the last mile. Because the industry has been evolving so quickly and scaling up so quickly, the last mile to get from either a crude oil or even a distillate or even a flour into a packaged bottle onto the shelf is the most difficult logistic nightmare in terms of the value chain. We've positioned our team and we've beefed it up in terms of who we have here, so the last mile is well positioned for us, and the margins are very attractive versus selling just crude product. So our two revenue streams, as I mentioned quickly before, white label solutions and production, and then contract processing. In actuality, we've done about 95% of our extraction time on white label solutions. So we buy the products for the numbers that I mentioned, we extract it, and then we sell it wholesale. The majority of our sales to date are for wholesale crude oil, and the percentage of purity that we're getting is between 75 and 80% we're selling. The way that we position our purchase and our sales is on the percentage of the cannabinoids that we actually purchase or sell. So the product coming into the facility, we look very closely at the certificate of analysis. We identify exactly how much by weight, the percentage of cannabinoids, we pay our partners on the cannabinoid volume. With our partners in the wholesale on the output, with the distribution side, Canada being our biggest partner, we only get paid on the cannabinoid percentages. So that forces us to push our purity, which we've gotten up to 75% plus now. It took us about 6 months to do that. Is very key, because the industry is moving in a parallel fashion to how you look at how milk is valued on the shelf. If you look at that milk and the active component of fat, the fat content increases, the price increases. This is going to continue to resonate in the industry and how the evolution is moving forward. And this makes sense for distribution as well as global export opportunities. Our second line of revenue stream is contract processing. We originally balanced the model looking and forecasting that we're doing a 50-50 split. This isn't in actuality the truth, because unfortunately, in terms of timelines, a lot of our cultivation partners have hit their stride for volume. So we've been able to procure a lot of product from a number of different players at smaller volumes versus looking at larger volumes and tolling, what's typically called. Tolling margins are relatively much smaller than wholesale white label processing. We feel that the future holds a higher risk in terms of the tolling margins, because the more players looking at tolling and looking at volume and reducing their price creates a backflow, and it creates very much a difficulty to position yourself as the leader. If you have 10 tolling houses all competing on price and not quality, it reduces our ability to position and look at our global export opportunities for volume. This is a very key metric that a lot of the processors are going to be faced with over the next year or so. So this just goes over our phase 1 build out. So we've got, just as I mentioned before, we just recently been approved for increasing capacity from 100,000 to 150,000 kilos. We use 5 different extraction equipment lines currently. That is not very efficient from the perspective of a contract manufacturing organization like ourselves. These are two Metallus machines. Another big challenge to a processor in the transition to a specialized company versus a vertical is that we need to play with all of these other new equipment manufacturing companies. A lot of the equipment manufacturer companies are our biggest competition because they position themselves and they pitch vertically integrated cultivators to say that all you need to spend is $1 million, and you can have a machine that actually gives you product to get into a tincture bottle to be put on the shelf. This could be more true, this could be more false. And the fact of the matter is that what happens after your first steps from primary extraction with these CO2 extractors is the most robust part in terms of operator time. However, the last steps to purify and to get it into the bottle are the most difficult, and it's really where the industry is failing, where we've had this opportunity to now bring product back, final fill form, and distribute form. So we're also launching one of the largest distillation platforms in the game. We've just started actually to distill a product. If you're looking at distillation margin, it's actually low. It's a low cost to the company, but we can increase our margin per cannabinoid by a significant percentage. We can actually get a 20% increased margin to a distillate versus a crude oil. And if you look at the opportunity loss in terms of time, your operators have to actually move from crude oil to a distillate, are relatively very low. We're also actually looking now at a commercial scale called chromatography, where we actually are separating smaller cannabinoids from one another. And so without going too much into the science, a crude oil is a full spectrum oil from a full plant-based oil. When you look at using technologies like called chromatography, you can actually take out the smaller cannabinoids from one another, and those smaller cannabinoids can be used for research and development and as an API or a building block for pharmaceutical formulations. One of the biggest misses in the industry now is that a full spectrum oil is very difficult to identify actually where the symptom control, where the effects are coming from, which cannabinoid or which terpene profile. So with this technology in-house, we're able to separate those, work with universities and hospitals for trials that actually can identify what the symptom control is of, say, a THCV or a CBG or a CBN. One of the things that we get the most requests for from large pharmaceutical companies is actually to take pure THCV now and explore what weight loss can occur when you're using it in higher doses. We're positioning ourselves to use that commercial scale and to export these products into Europe, and we feel that that's where the future lies. So just in terms of the value of our stock, relatively, we're a very undervalued stock versus our competitors in the space. We have 20 plus partners on either the purchase side or the distribution side. We haven't tied ourselves to one partner. We felt that to position as an agnostic supplier, an agnostic buyer in terms of strains, meaning that we can purchase any strain and still have the same output or consistency, gives us the ability to work with many players. The fact that some of our competitors have tied themselves to one horse puts them in a disadvantaged position. One of the things that we stayed very strong on was not taking any investment from any large-scale cultivator. So we're totally agnostic, and we are open for business to work with all the rest of the major players. We included Pure Leaf in this piece to show that there's major US players coming into Canada. We feel that there's obviously an opportunity to run in terms of value. We're excited for the competition to come, but we also feel that some of the US companies that are positioned with high revenues are going to be challenged to work in a GMP format in Canada with a regulator that's federally regulated, looking at export opportunities. This is what our last slide was finished off on, and we wanted to make sure we were very transparent in terms of Australia that it's actually being built out. So since these pictures were taken, we've actually got a floor laid now, the concrete's done, and those doors are going in. So we're moving ahead nicely down in Australia. This, I think, is a good position as well for, as I mentioned before, our supply, our ability to continue to hit these revenues, and then prove to the world that a specialized company can actually differentiate itself very well by profit margin. Thanks so much, everybody.